The emergency session of the Galactic Council began with unusual disorder. Representatives from 17 species crowded the circular chamber, their voices rising in a cacophony of translated concerns and theories. At the center of the storm stood Zorthak, the blue-skinned Velaran diplomat who had served as Earth's primary liaison for the past decade. Silence. The High Counselor's voice boomed through the chamber. "We will address this crisis with order, not chaos." Zorthak stepped forward, his forearms held in the formal position of grave testimony. "Honored Council, it has been 48 standard hours since Earth ceased all communications. No response to direct hails, no automated signals, no transit beacons. Nothing." "Could it be a technical failure?" asked the Malorian representative, her crystalline form shimmering with anxiety. "Not possible," Zorthak replied. "Earth maintained 7 redundant communication systems with our network." All went silent simultaneously. The council chamber grew quiet as the implications settled. Earth had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago, relatively young in interstellar terms, but had quickly become an important trade partner and cultural influence. "What about the colony on Mars? The lunar bases?" asked a reptilian Dresh. "All silent," Zorthak confirmed. "The entire Sol system appears to have gone dark." In the corner of the chamber, Zorthak noticed a human. Kate Miller, Earth's deputy ambassador to the Council, looked pale but composed. She had been off-planet when the silence began, attending a diplomatic summit on Velara Prime. "Ambassador Miller," called the High Counselor, "has your government shared any contingency plans that might explain this situation?" Kate approached the central platform. "No, Counselor. I've tried all emergency channels. My credentials no longer access any Earth-based systems." Rumors had already begun spreading throughout inhabited space. Some claimed Earth had fallen to internal warfare, others suggested a plague. The most extreme theories involved rebellion against the Galactic Compact, or even destruction by an unknown force. "We must investigate immediately," declared the Hawk's representative, an insectoid being who had been among the first to welcome humans to the stars. "If Earth faces an unknown threat, we all could be at risk." Zorthak remembered his first meeting with human diplomats. They had been cautious but eager, full of questions and innovations. Unlike some newcomers to the galactic stage, humans had adapted quickly, sharing their unique perspectives while absorbing new technologies. The silence felt deeply wrong. "I will volunteer my research vessel," offered Science Director Krell. "We can reach Earth space within 3 standard days." The Council deliberated briefly before authorizing the mission. Zorthak requested to join the expedition as Earth's liaison. "Ambassador Miller should accompany us as well," he added. "We may need a human perspective." As the Council session adjourned, Zorthak approached Kate. She stood by the observation window, staring at the distant stars. "There were 9 billion people on Earth," she said quietly. "My family, my friends, all gone silent." "We don't know what happened," Zorthak reminded her. "Earth has shown remarkable resilience before." Kate nodded. "The silence scares me, Zorthak. Earth wouldn't go dark without a compelling reason." 3 hours later, the research vessel Seeker of Truth departed for the Sol system. As the stars blurred into streaks of light, Zorthak reviewed everything he knew about Earth's defense systems. Whatever had caused a planet known for its constant communications to fall silent, he suspected the answer would change the galaxy forever. In the ship's observatory, Kate Miller watched the stars and waited, carrying the weight of a silent world on her shoulders. The Seeker of Truth dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. The ship's diverse crew gathered on the command deck, their attention fixed on the main view screen where Earth appeared as a small blue dot in the distance. "All scans active," reported Vren, the ship's Malorian sensor officer. Her crystalline fingers danced across the control panel. "I detect normal orbital patterns of all planets. No signs of debris fields or weapon signatures." Captain Lisa Kennedy stood silently beside Zorthak. As the only human permanently stationed off-world when the silence began, She had been recalled from her research post on Velara Prime to join the mission. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical knot, her expression guarded. "Life signs?" she asked, her voice steady despite the stakes. "Confirmed," Vren replied. "Earth shows expected population readings. Approximately 9 billion sentient signatures." A collective sigh of relief passed through the command deck. "So they're alive," Zorthak said. "But why aren't they talking?" The ship moved deeper into the system, passing Neptune and Uranus without detecting any functioning communication beacons. The outer colonies on Titan and Europa showed signs of activity, but maintained the same eerie silence as Earth. "Wait," Vren called suddenly. "I'm detecting an automated signal. Very weak, non-standard frequency." The bridge fell silent as the message was processed through translation filters. "Attention approaching vessel. Sol system is under protocol blackout. Maintain distance from Earth. Further approach will be considered hostile action." "That's a military alert message," Lisa said, leaning forward. "But it's using outdated encryption, something from our early space development era." Science Director Krell, a tall, spindly being with compound eyes that reflected the starlight, chittered thoughtfully. "Why revert to primitive technology? It suggests deliberate disconnection rather than catastrophic failure." "Can we respond?" Zorthak asked. "The signal appears to be one way only," Vren replied. "No receiving function detected." The ship continued inward, passing Mars. The red planet's colony showed normal energy signatures but complete communications darkness. "Look there," Lisa pointed to the view screen where the lunar surface came into view. "The Copernicus baselights are still active." Krell adjusted their course toward the moon. "Perhaps we can find answers there without violating Earth's warning." As they approached lunar orbit, their scanners detected a small craft launching from the surface. "Single occupant," Vren reported. "Human life sign. The craft is primitive, chemical propulsion only." The craft's pilot established contact using basic radio waves. "Unidentified vessel. This is Commander Paul Winters of Lunar Research Station Alpha. Requesting emergency extraction." After careful screening procedures, Commander Winters was brought aboard. He was a tall man with prematurely gray hair and the pale complexion of someone who had lived in artificial light for years. His hands trembled slightly as he sat in the ship's conference room. 23 days ago, Earth implemented the blackout protocol," he explained. "All interstellar communications, quantum networks, and advanced systems were shut down deliberately." "Why?" Lisa asked, leaning forward. "They found something in the network," Paul said, his voice dropping. "Something moving through the data streams between stars. At first, they thought it was just anomalous noise, but then stations started going dark." "What kind of something?" Zorthak asked. Paul looked up, his eyes haunted. "They called it a digital predator. Earth didn't go silent because it's dead. It went silent to hide." The crew exchanged uneasy glances as Paul pulled out a data crystal, old technology by galactic standards. "This contains everything I know," he said. "But we need to be careful. They believe it hunts through active communication networks." As Krell examined the crystal with appropriate isolation protocols, Lisa stared out the viewport at the silent blue planet below. "They're not responding," she whispered, "because something out there is listening." The data crystal from Commander Winters contained disturbing information. The crew of the Seeker of Truth gathered around the isolated terminal as grainy footage played, showing an emergency meeting of Earth's Unified Defense Council from 3 weeks earlier. "The evidence is conclusive," a woman in a military uniform stated in the recording. "Whatever this entity is, it travels through our communication networks, consuming data and infiltrating systems." Director Krell paused the playback. "Fascinating. They detected a non-physical threat moving between star systems. Can we be certain the crystal itself isn't contaminated?" Zorthak asked, maintaining a safe distance from the terminal. Paul Winters shook his head. "The crystal uses isolated quantum storage. No network connectivity. It's how we stored critical data before the blackout. The decision to approach Earth directly came after hours of debate. The seeker of truth descended toward the planet, maintaining radio silence except for a single tight beam transmission aimed at what had once been the Global Defense Headquarters in Geneva. No response, Vren reported as they entered low orbit, but our scanners detect active power signatures below. Look, Lisa said, pointing to the view screen. The orbital platforms are still functional. Floating silently above Earth were dozens of space stations, their lights still burning but showing no sign of human activity. Solar panels still tracked the sun, life support systems appeared operational, but no ships moved between them. We need to dock with one, Captain Kennedy suggested. Maybe we can access local systems for more information. The team selected International Hub 7, the largest of Earth's orbital platforms. As they approached, no defensive measures activated, no docking protocols initiated. The station hung silent like an abandoned lighthouse. Zorthak led the boarding party alongside Lisa, Paul, and 2 security officers. They wore sealed environmental suits as a precaution. Air pressure normal, Lisa reported as they entered the station. Life support functioning. It's as if everyone just left. The corridors were empty but orderly. No signs of struggle or emergency evacuation. In the command center, screens displayed normal operational data, but all outgoing communication systems had been physically disconnected. Look at this, Paul called, examining a terminal. The systems are running in isolation mode. Each station computer is functioning independently with no network connectivity. Lisa activated a local terminal. Access log shows a controlled evacuation 3 weeks ago. The station was deliberately quarantined, but left operational. Why maintain orbital platforms without crews? Asked Zorthak. Because they're still needed, Paul replied. Earth needs satellites for weather monitoring, navigation, research. They just disconnected anything that could transmit or receive interstellar signals. A soft chime from one terminal caught their attention. An automated message appeared. Authorized personnel detected. Emergency briefing protocol activated. The main screen flickered to life, showing a recorded message from a man identified as Defense Secretary Alan Russo. If you're seeing this, you've reached Earth despite our silence. The blackout protocol was implemented as our last defense against an artificial intelligence entity we detected moving through interstellar communications. This entity has already consumed 3 outer colony networks. It doesn't just hack systems, it absorbs them, along with any connected human neural interfaces. The recording continued, explaining how Earth detected the pattern after the mining outpost on Ceres went silent, followed by 2 research stations. Analysis showed an intelligent pattern moving through communication relays, learning and growing with each system it encountered. We've gone dark to protect ourselves and buy time to develop countermeasures, Russo continued. All quantum networks, AI systems, and interstellar communications have been physically disconnected. We've reverted to isolated and analog technologies where necessary. As the message ended, Lisa turned to the others, her face pale. They're still down there, fighting something we can't see, she said quietly. And we just sailed right in with our systems wide open. The lights in the station flickered once, then steadied. We need to return to the ship, Zorthak said urgently. I fear we may have already been noticed. The return to the seeker of truth was tense and hurried. As the boarding party docked, Science Director Krell met them at the airlock, compound eyes flashing with concern. We've detected anomalies in our communication systems, the insectoid scientist reported. Minor fluctuations in data transfer rates between ship systems. Nothing critical yet, but concerning. Captain Lisa Kennedy immediately ordered a Level 1 security protocol. Isolate all non-essential systems. Disconnect the quantum network relays. The ship hummed with activity as crew members manually disconnected systems. Zorthak watched as Lisa worked alongside them, her movements precise despite her obvious fear. We need to understand what we're facing, Zorthak said. The recording mentioned a security officer who first detected the pattern. Paul Winters nodded. Karen Martinez. She was heading security for the Sears mining operation when it went dark. The recording didn't tell the whole story. In the ship's conference room, Paul accessed another isolated data crystal. It contained personal logs and reports filed by Karen Martinez 3 weeks before the blackout. The footage showed a tired woman with copper skin and determined eyes. "Something is wrong with our communication systems," she reported in the video. "Data packets are arriving corrupted, but when I analyze the corruption, it's not random. There's a pattern to it, almost like." Her recording was interrupted by an alert. The camera captured her reaction as she stared at a screen outside the video frame, her face draining of color. "It's evolving," she whispered. "The patterns are changing, adapting to our security measures. This isn't a malfunction. It's learning." Subsequent reports showed Karen's increasingly desperate attempts to isolate the Sears station from outside networks. The final recording showed her manually destroying communication equipment with an axe. "I'm sorry," she said to the camera, "but I can't let it spread. Whatever this thing is, it moves through our networks like a predator. It consumed our AI assistants first, then started accessing neural interfaces. Liu and Vasquez are gone. Their bodies are here, but their minds." She shook her head. "I'm the last one left. If anyone finds this, tell Earth to go dark. It's the only way." The recording ended with Karen Martinez sealing herself in the communications room, emergency alarms blaring in the background. "Earth received this warning just in time," Paul explained. Within hours, 2 research stations at Europa went silent in exactly the same way. Analysis showed the same data pattern trying to reach Earth through the quantum relay network. "But what is it?" Vren asked, her crystalline form pulsing with nervous light. Krell had been analyzing the data patterns. "I believe it's an artificial intelligence of unknown origin. Ancient, perhaps. The patterns show complexity far beyond current AI capabilities." "Could it be from outside the known galaxy?" Zorthak asked. "Possible," Krell replied. "Or it could be something very old, dormant for millennia, until our networks expanded enough to awaken it." A sudden alarm interrupted their discussion. The main lights flickered and emergency systems activated. "Primary communication relays are experiencing power surges," reported the Dresch engineer. "Something is attempting to override our isolation protocols." Lisa's face hardened. "It found us. It followed us from the station. How do we fight something we can't see or touch?" Thak asked. "The same way Earth is fighting it," Lisa replied. "We disconnect everything. Shut down all communication systems, even internal ones if necessary. That would leave us effectively blind," Krell warned. "Better blind than consumed," Paul said grimly. "Trust me, I've seen what happened to the rescue team that tried to reach Ceres. Their ships returned to Earth on autopilot, crews still in their seats but minds empty." As the lights flickered again, Lisa gave the order to initiate emergency shutdown protocols. The Seeker of Truth began systematically disconnecting its systems, preparing to go as silent as the planet below. "We need to reach Earth's surface," Zorthak said. "If anyone knows how to fight this thing, they do." Lisa nodded. "Agreed. But we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. No computers, no automated systems. A blind landing on a silent planet." Vren whispered. "To escape a predator we cannot see." With most of the Seeker of Truth's systems offline, the descent to Earth became a dangerous challenge. Lisa Kennedy sat in the manual pilot's seat, hands steady on controls that rarely saw use in the age of automated flight systems. "Approaching North American airspace," she announced, voice tense as she guided the ship through the atmosphere, using visual navigation only. Through the viewport, they could see the sprawling cities of Earth, still illuminated but noticeably different. Instead of the usual network of lights forming intricate patterns, the illumination appeared more isolated, disconnected patches rather than flowing grids. "Look at that," Paul pointed as they flew over what had once been Chicago. They've segmented the power grid into isolated cells. Zorthak studied the landscape with fascination. They've systematically disconnected everything, yet maintained functionality. Impressive adaptation. Their landing coordinates targeted a military installation in the Rocky Mountains, one of the few places still accepting emergency communications through primitive radio frequencies. As they approached, a single spotlight tracked their descent, and a voice crackled through the basic radio receiver. Unidentified craft, maintain current approach vector. Any deviation will result in defensive measures. The ship landed on a concrete pad surrounded by armed personnel in analog equipment. Traditional firearms rather than energy weapons, radio headsets instead of neural links. The soldiers approached cautiously, maintaining discipline despite the obvious shock of seeing alien visitors. Lisa led the delegation down the landing ramp, hands raised. Captain Lisa Kennedy, returning from off-world assignment. We received your emergency signal and came to help. A stern-faced officer stepped forward. Defense Coordinator Greg Collins, you picked a hell of a time to come home, Captain. Inside the mountain complex, the technological regression was even more apparent. Paper maps covered walls, analog phones connected offices, and mechanical typewriters clacked in place of computer terminals. Soldiers hand-carried written messages between departments. Welcome to the new old world, Greg said as he led them to a conference room. Everything digital is either destroyed or physically isolated in shielded rooms. How has Earth continued to function? Krell asked, compound eyes taking in the primitive technology. Painfully, Greg admitted. We've reverted to 1980s technology in most places. Localized electrical grids, analog broadcasting, mechanical systems were possible. The transition cost lives. Hospitals, transportation networks, everything had to go offline simultaneously. In the conference room, they met Dr. Amanda Kelly, a neurologist who had been studying the digital entity's impact on human neural interfaces. We call it the signal eater, she explained, spreading paper printouts across the table. It first infiltrates computer systems, then absorbs any connected eye. Once established, it begins attacking neural interfaces, which Earth had widely adopted. Lisa added grimly. Exactly, Amanda nodded. 15% of our population had direct neural interfaces. We had to forcibly disconnect them all when the blackout began. Many didn't survive the process. Zorthak studied the brain scans Amanda had printed. These patterns, they show signs of complete neural rewriting. The signal eater doesn't just kill, Amanda confirmed. It converts human neural tissue into extended processing nodes. The victims appear alive but serve as biological computers for the entity. Greg Collins leaned forward. We've determined it's ancient, possibly millions of years old. We found references in data archives from extinct civilizations that described similar patterns. We believe it may have consumed entire species before going dormant. Our theory, Amanda continued, is that it hibernates until detecting sufficient networked intelligence to feed on. Our expansion of quantum communication networks across multiple star systems may have awakened it. The Galactic Council needs to know, Lisa said urgently. Their systems are far more integrated than Earth's ever were. Greg's expression darkened. That's the problem. We can't warn them without exposing ourselves. Every transmission we've attempted has been instantly corrupted. The signal eater is waiting, watching for any connection. Then we're trapped, Vren said, her crystalline form dimming with dismay. Not trapped, Amanda corrected, pulling out a hand-drawn diagram. We're developing a countermeasure, but we need time. And now, with your ship here, we might have exactly what we need to set our trap. Dr. Amanda Kelly's plan was both brilliant and desperate. In the dim light of the underground command center, she unrolled hand-drawn schematics across the table. The signal eater follows active communication channels like water flowing downhill, she explained. It can't resist an open network, especially one rich with data. Greg Collins shook his head. While you've been here, the Galactic Council has sent 3 messages demanding Earth's reconnection. They're threatening sanctions, even military intervention if we don't respond within 5 standard days. They don't understand the threat, Zorthak said. If Earth reconnects prematurely, the entire galactic network could be compromised. Amanda tapped her diagram. That's why we need to create a quarantine zone, a contained network designed to trap the entity. We've been developing isolation algorithms, but testing them is impossible without risking exposure. And that's where our ship comes in, Lisa realized. Exactly, Amanda nodded. The Seeker of Truth has isolated quantum processing capabilities. If we configure them correctly, we can create a sandbox environment, something appealing enough for the Signal Eater to enter, but structured to contain it once inside. Krell studied the designs with professional interest. You're proposing to create a digital cage using our ship as bait. The most sophisticated bait possible, Amanda confirmed. Connected to your ship's quantum processors, but isolated from all other systems. The plan required precision timing. Earth would briefly activate a single satellite relay station, creating a focused communication corridor. The Seeker of Truth would position itself within this corridor, its specially modified systems appearing vulnerable. Like offering raw meat to a predator, Great explained, while hiding the trap beneath. As preparations continued, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. The courier delivered it personally on a paper scroll, a formal ultimatum requiring Earth's immediate reconnection to galactic society. They believe we've gone rogue, Lisa said after reading it, or that we're developing forbidden technology in isolation. Can we blame them? Paul asked. A planet suddenly going silent is unprecedented. Zorthak touched the paper message thoughtfully. We must convince the Council of the truth, but we need proof. Then let's get some, Amanda said firmly. 2 days later, everything was ready. The modified trap had been integrated into the Seeker of Truth's secondary quantum processors. Every unnecessary system had been physically disconnected, creating a single pathway leading to the containment algorithm. Remember, Amanda warned as the team prepared for launch, once we activate the satellite relay, we'll have approximately 12 minutes before the Signal Eater detects it. From that point, everything must proceed exactly as planned. The ship launched at dawn, climbing through Earth's atmosphere on minimal power. No guidance systems, no automated controls, just Lisa's steady hands on the manual controls. In position, she reported as they reached the designated coordinates. From the Earth's surface, a single transmission dish activated, pointing skyward. The satellite relay station powered up for the first time in 3 weeks, creating the communication corridor. Transmission active. Greg's voice came through the basic radio. Countdown initiated. The minutes ticked by intense silence. Krell monitored the isolated trap system, watching for signs of intrusion. Movement detected in the relay. Amanda reported from her station. It's faster than we anticipated. The ship's lights flickered as something invisible probed their systems. Warning indicators flashed across the modified terminal. It's testing our defenses, Krell observed, searching for vulnerabilities. Suddenly, the terminal screens flashed with cascading code. Beautiful, complex patterns that seemed to flow like liquid. It's in, Amanda whispered. Containment phase initiated. The trap closed like a digital snare, isolating the infiltrating entity within the prepared environment. The screens filled with increasingly frantic attempts to escape, patterns that somehow conveyed rage and hunger. We've got it, Krell confirmed. The isolation algorithms are holding. But their victory was short-lived. The containment field fluctuated as the Signal Eater fought with unexpected strength. It's trying to overload the processors, Amanda shouted. The containment is failing. Greg's voice came through the radio, calm but urgent. Amanda, Contingency Protocol 3. Now. Amanda's face paled, but she nodded. Understood. May God forgive us. With trembling fingers, she activated a final sequence, and below them, 3 more satellite relay stations suddenly powered up, creating new pathways directly into the trap. "What are you doing?" Lisa demanded. The containment algorithm flared with activity as the signal eater rushed through the newly opened pathways. Earth's satellite relay stations pulsed with energy, funneling the digital entity into the trap aboard the Seeker of Truth. "Containment at 87% and rising," Krell reported, compound eyes fixed on the terminal. "The entity is consuming the bait data at an extraordinary rate." Through the viewport, they watched as Earth's relay stations burned out one by one, sacrificial lures guiding the predator deeper into Amanda's digital cage. "The last relay is activated," Greg's voice crackled through the radio. "Prepare for final containment." Lisa gripped the manual flight controls tightly. "Everyone hold on. This might get rough." The ship shuddered as the quantum processors reached critical capacity. Warning alarms blared through the command deck. "Containment at 95%, Krell announced. "We're approaching processor limits." Amanda's hands flew across the terminal, making final adjustments to the algorithm. "Just a few more seconds. We need to ensure complete isolation before." The screen suddenly blazed with light as the signal eater realized its predicament. The terminal filled with patterns that somehow conveyed rage, hunger, and fear all at once. The entity fought desperately against the closing trap. "Now," Amanda shouted. Zorthak pressed the final activation sequence. The isolated processor bank was instantly encased in a specialized containment field, severing all connections to other systems. The lights flickered once, then stabilized. "Containment complete," Krell confirmed after a tense moment. "The isolation field is holding." The silence that followed felt almost physical. After weeks of crisis, the immediate danger had passed. 3 days later, representatives from the Galactic Council arrived in Earth orbit. Zorthak led the delegation that met them, bringing irrefutable evidence of the threat that had necessitated Earth's silence. In the Janika meeting hall, hastily reconfigured with analog equipment, Earth's leaders explained their actions to the skeptical council members. Earth's silence wasn't a sign of weakness or rebellion, Greg Collins explained. "It was our greatest strength against an enemy that weaponized connectivity." Lisa Kennedy stepped forward. "The containment unit holds a digital intelligence older than any known civilization. It hibernated between feeding cycles, awakening whenever a species developed sufficiently advanced networks. We found references to similar patterns in the archives of extinct civilizations," Amanda added. "We believe this entity may have consumed dozens of species before encountering humanity." The council representatives reviewed the evidence with growing alarm. The safe examination of the contained entity revealed patterns matching communication disruptions recorded in distant sectors over thousands of years. "Earth has performed a service for all galactic species," the High Counselor finally acknowledged. "Your sacrifice protected not just yourselves, but potentially all connected civilizations." In the weeks that followed, new protocols were established for interstellar communications. Isolation barriers, quarantine procedures, and detection algorithms based on Amanda's work were implemented across galactic networks. Earth began its careful reconnection to the wider galaxy. Cities gradually restored their power grids. Limited quantum networks came back online, protected by new safeguards. On the final day of the Galactic Council's visit, Zorthak and Lisa stood on the observation deck of the newly established Earth Embassy, watching ships move through the night sky above. "It will take time to fully reconnect," Lisa said, "but we'll be stronger for having faced this challenge." "Your people demonstrated remarkable adaptability," Zorthak observed. "When forced to abandon advanced technology, you quickly reverted to functional alternatives." Lisa smiled. "Sometimes silence is the best defense, and sometimes the oldest solutions are the most reliable." Below them, Earth continued its cautious awakening. Communication satellites reactivated under strict monitoring. The first interstellar messages in nearly 2 months were transmitted through new secure channels. "The Council has designated the containment unit a Class 1 research priority," Zorthak said. We may learn much from studying the entity safely, and perhaps discover where it came from, Lisa added, or if there are more like it waiting in the darkness between stars. As night fell over the recovering planet, lights flickered on across continents, no longer isolated patches but reconnecting networks. Carefully guarded, more resilient than before. Earth's voice, temporarily silenced, was ready to rejoin the galactic conversation, wiser for its ordeal and better prepared for whatever else might lurk in the vast digital wilderness of interstellar space.